Okay, good evening. I'm going to talk about self-directed learning by Roger Hiemstra in 2013. My name is Alexander Miranda, and well, first of all, I actually found this article on this website. I've just attached a link right here, and you can if you wish, you can make copy and paste later. It starts in page 28 from this document. You can find right here. So, self-directed learning was first conceived as an IGLP idea, which is individualized teaching learning process. And Hiemstra conceived this idea in 1988, but later he decided to switch. After some research, he switched from ITLP into II. That was in 1991, and II is simply individualized instruction. So this individualized instruction and self-directed learning was deeply influenced by two authors. One of them is Malcolm Knowles, from which you are going to perhaps listen to later. So he was very influential in terms of adult education in the United States and the concept of andragogy, and that had to do a lot with self-directed learning. The other person was Alan Tuff, who highly influenced Hiemstra with his adult learning projects. So, well, from this website you can actually download the whole book by chapters in case you want to read later. So these two these two people influenced a lot Hiemstra into self-directed learning. So basically, what is self-directed learning? Well, it's something that is completely in contrast to teacher-directed learning, and this is the traditional method in which maybe some of us have learned, in which the teacher is the person who tells everything to students, who tells what they have to learn, how they have to learn, and so on and so forth. And Hiemstra conceives this methodology as a detriment for learners, because actually learners, they are in full responsibility of what they want to learn, and that is one of the main goals of self-directed learning. They are responsible for their own learning, and the main goal of this type of learning is that learners have to potentialize their decisions for achievement. So what they want to learn, how they want to learn it, is of full responsibility of learners. So this self-directed learning model is seen in 6 different steps. First of all, activities prior meetings with learners. So in this conception of learning, the teacher is not seen as a teacher per se, but as a facilitator. And this facilitator has to prepare, to design materials, to design courses, and everything according to what the students might need and what students or learners might need. So it's focused here on the second step, which is the attention to overall needs, and that has to do with physical needs to emotional needs and to social and to environmental, well, some different overall needs that learners might bring to the course when they are starting. So after dealing with these overall needs, then the next step is to deal with specific education needs, and that has to do with specifically what the learner wants to learn, or what they want to achieve as their principal goals. So that is what the facilitator and the learner have to focus on. So As soon as the learner identifies what they want to learn, now the next step is to know how they want to learn it. And in that part is a very much importance the relation facilitator learner, because they have to be in constant conversation uh, in order to know how or what is the best way for a learner to learn, so what strategies work better on them, and in that way that will be the best form of getting their goals. So after knowing what and how to learn, and then the next step is a lot of help from the facilitator, who is going to provide a lot of help in terms of knowledge, in terms of a specific, I don't know, grammar issues, grammar aspects, or vocabulary for the learner to acquire. And finally, there is an assessing accomplishment. Well, the facilitator, through conversations with the learner, they have to finally give a grade, specific grades, because of institutions they still require grades. So the learner can know if they are doing things correct. So apart from this, what are the facilitator's roles? So well, he's a content resource. So he's a person full of knowledge, full of experience, and he has to share all this knowledge and this experience with the learners in terms of facilitating um, the learning process for them. He's also a resource locator, so maybe the learner already knows what and how to learn it, but doesn't know where to find the best resources or things to acquire knowledge. So in that terms, the facilitators who should offer helps with specific materials like books or websites or specific exercises. And talking about the specific exercises is also a facilitator and interest stimulator in terms of always trying to promote the interest in learners. So what their goals are. So the facilitator has to keep reminding them that to the learners, and promoting funny PowerPoint presentations so they keep track on what they're doing in a interesting way. And that has also to do with a positive attitude generator. So all the feedback or the assessment provided by the facilitator has to be positive. So maybe he's not doing the things quite well, but a positive reinforcement is required so as to um, keep interest high in learners. Creativity and critical thinking stimulator. So what they're learning and how they're learning maybe in a different way, or I don't making their own presentations linked to their own situations in life, biographies, visual aids, etc. And final evaluation stimulator in terms of self-assessment, providing positive feedback as I said before, but stimulating that not only the facilitator evaluates them, but also they are their own principal evaluators. Hiemstra in this article also interviewed several colleagues, and they have some opinions about self-directed learning. So for example, opinions on individual initiative is highly important because the individuals are, as stated at the beginning, their own the principal responsible people for the learning. So when they are trained into self-directed learning, they start getting initiative on full responsibility, and they perceive that is the best way to get knowledge, what, and that is by getting full responsibility on their own. Opinions on learning contracts. Well, learning contracts is quite a strong concept, let's say, but it's like the best way to make a person responsible for something, and that's like the way to show learners that they are in full responsibility for this, not only the facilitator but also they have already set goals and they have identified the best way to reach their goals. So it's always like demanding this. Colleagues' opinion on teachers-directed dominance. Uh, Self-directed learning is a very good way to make students responsible on their own learning, but there is still so much dominance on the traditional method, and that has to do because of different factors, like sometimes teachers are afraid of losing control, on losing power, let's say, because they always have the role of telling what to do and how to do. So most of the teachers still do it wrong, and in that sense, Hiemstra also has some opinions, and those are like teachers, they should periodically re-examine the way they are teaching, and they are not doing that. They just keep doing the same thing, despite the positive or negative results. Also, the former teachers modeling. So, because my teacher taught me in a traditional way, so I have to teach in the same way because it worked for me, so it's gonna work for everyone, and that's not correct. Also, teachers sometimes reject feedback from students, from learners, from colleagues, and they don't want to receive any comments, and that's also a negative aspect, and that's why teachers are doing it wrong. And also because institutions don't provide opportunities for instruction and improvement, so they are not getting prepared. Apart from those teachers doing it wrong, despite of all this, self-directed learning is still great acceptance and more acceptance than rejection. And uh, in spite of being such a good way to teach, it has some critics, let's say. For example, at the beginning, it's going to be hard for students to, um, let's say, divorce from the traditional method of getting a grade or just trying to study to get a grade. So from jumping to that traditional method to self-directed learning, um, some of the colleagues offer the possibility of stimulating or as a stimulating learners by giving them good grades, so in order to get a positive response, so in a behavioral manner. Class size is highly important because it is very hard to uh, it's very hard to get this facilitator learner relationship if there are 30 or more students, because facilitator has to be in constant conversation with every single learner. So class size is very important, and also the length of terms. Also because of this relationship, sometimes academic terms are very short and there's no possibility of building a good relationship. So the facilitator doesn't have enough time to provide good resources, materials, and keeping track of learners in terms of evaluating them and being stimulator. So as you can see, self-directed learning is highly important and is a good way to teach and also promote autonomous learning in students, not only in adults but in every person who wants to learn. So I hope this was a good help for you. I really appreciate it, and we are in touch. Thank you very much.